And pursuant to that, in accordance with announcement just made by the company secretary, I will proceed to chair this AGM. Thank you.
Please be seated. Distinguished shareholders, regulators, consultants, and shareholders and regulators joining us online, you're welcome to the 8th Annual General Meeting of FBNHoldings Plc. I would like to provide information that the chairman of the company, Dr. Oba Otudeko, CFR, is unable to join us due to unavoidable circumstances, and the directors here present have agreed amongst themselves that the Group Managing Director, Mr. UK AKMFR, will chair this annual general meeting. Thank you for your decision.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, following the announcement just made by the Company Secretary, Mr. Sheye Kosoko, I will then proceed to preside over this AGM. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the time now is 10:02, and it is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to Lagos and to the 8th Annual General Meeting of our company. I wish to inform you that this Annual General Meeting is being held by Proxy, further to the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission under the guidance issued by the CAC, subsequently adopted and issued by the Nigerian Stock Exchange. This AGM is being streamed live for our shareholders, regulators, and observers who are not physically present. I wish to express our profound appreciation to the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, for graciously allowing our company to hold the AGM today in view of the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. We have assured Mr. Governor that we will keep all the physical distancing and limitation on gathering requirements, and also that we shall be proceedings timely. Before the business of the day, may I call on Mr. Benga Idowu to lead us in a short opening prayer.
Please, may I ask all of us to be upstanding for the opening prayer. Our Father and our God, we thank you. We thank you for Nigeria. We thank you for First Bank Holding PLC. This bank is synonymous with Nigeria. It has been in Nigeria before the independence of Nigeria. It has passed through the travails, the ups and downs, the growth strategies of Nigeria. It's actually a citadel of banking in Nigeria. May it never grow less in the name of Jesus. It will be going from strength to strength. I pray specifically for the board, management, and staff of this company for wisdom. This present pandemic is going, but the one coming, it is mental war, the economy war. How they will be able to withstand it, Lord, refresh them aright. That, Father, they will never be found wanting. Give them peace of mind, give them health, the mental robustness to navigate this bank through the coming troubled waters in the world, that they will excel. Thank you for what you have done so far. We thank you that today we'll be having dividend. And without money, you cannot do anything. But they are striving to make sure that they put food on our tables. Father, in the name of Jesus, May food never depart from their own tables in the name of Jesus. Give them health, give them strength, give them mental power, that when we come here next year, we will celebrate more successes. In Jesus' name I pray.
Board composition. I report that since the last annual general meeting, there has been no changes to the board composition. The board remains composed of 10 directors, comprising 2 independent non-executive directors, 7 non-executive directors, and 1 executive director, who is also the group managing director. Their profiles are contained in the annual report. I confirm that the register of directors' shareholding is available for inspection by members in compliance with the provisions of Section 275, Sub 8 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2004, and that this can be examined at the registrar's table. Before moving to the formal aspect of the meeting, I would like to commence proceedings at this meeting by introducing the directors, secretary, advisors, and representatives of the regulatory authorities. First, I will start with the director present at this meeting. And on my right is Dr. Adeshola Adeduto. And I will also introduce the company secretary, Mr. Sheye Kosoko, on my left, and my humble self, Mr. Yuke Eke. In line with the approval received from the Corporate Affairs Commission for the attendance of the meeting by proxy, the following directors have duly appointed me as their proxy to represent them at this meeting. Dr. Oba A. Otudeko, CFR, Mr. Oye Hassan Odukale, MFR, Mr. Chidi Anya, Dr. Hamza Sule Wuroboki, Otumba Mrs. Adebola Oshibogu, Mr. Omaseyi Aida, Mrs. Oluwande Moyo, and Miss Cecilia Akintomide, OON. I wish to also introduce the shareholders present, who are also proxies for all the shareholders of our great company, who cannot be physically present at this meeting due to the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. They are Sir Sunday Sonny Nwosu, Mr. Boniface Okezie, Mr. Matthew Akinlade, Mr. Benga Idowu, and Mr. Adebayo Adeleke. Brigadier Emmanuel E. Ikwe had sent in apologies that he will not be able to attend. I wish to also introduce the registrars, representatives of the auditors, Messrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers, the board appraiser, Messrs. KPMG Professional Services, representatives of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and the CBN. The NDIC and SEC and Corporate Affairs Commission had informed us that they will not be able to attend this meeting physically, but will join the meeting online. I would also like to introduce the chairman of the Audit Committee, Mr. Kolawole Durojaye, FCA. I regret to announce that we lost the third shareholder representative on the Statutory Audit Committee, Alhaji Adumumini Ado Yola, to the cold hands of death in February 2020. I hereby request that we all stand to observe a minute's silence in his honor. May his soul rest in peace. Amen. I now call upon the secretary to read the notice convening the meeting.
Notice of 8th Annual General Meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 8th Annual General Meeting of members of FBNHoldings Plc will be held at the Oriental Hotel, 3 Lekki Epe Expressway, Victoria Island, Lagos, on Monday, April 27, 2020 at 10 a.m., or so soon thereafter, to transact the following ordinary business. 1, to receive the audited accounts for the financial year ended December 31, 2019, together with the reports of the directors, auditor, board appraiser, and audit committee thereon. 2, to declare a dividend. 3, to re-elect the following directors retiring by rotation. A, Mr. Omar Shein Aida. B, Mrs. Oluwande Moyo. C, Ms. Cecilia Akintomide, OON. 4, to appoint Mrs. KPMG Professional Services as the company's auditor to replace the retiring auditor, Mrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers. 5, to authorize directors to fix the remuneration of the auditor. 6, to elect members of the audit committee. Notes. 1, Proxy. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, attendance at the AGM shall only be by proxy. A member shall be entitled to attend and vote at the AGM. A member entitled to attend and vote at the AGM is advised to select from the underlisted proposed proxies to attend and vote in his stead. A, Mr. Oba A. Otudeko, CFR. B, Mr. UK MFR. C, Dr. Adeshola Adedunton. D, Sir Sunday Sonny Nwosu. E, Mr. Boniface Okezie. F, Mr. Matthew Akilade. G, Mr. Gbenga Idowu. H, Brigadier E.E. Ikwe, retired. I, Mr. Adebayo Adeleke. A proxy form is attached to the annual report. All instruments of proxy must be deposited at the registered office of the company or the office of the registrars. First Registrars and Investor Services Limited. Number 2, Abebe Village Road, Igomu, Lagos, not later than 48 hours before the time for holding the meeting. Note, all instruments of proxy shall be at the company's expense. 2, Dividend. If the proposed dividend recommended by directors is approved by members at the AGM, the dividend will be payable on Tuesday, April 28, 2020, to members whose names appear in the register of members at the close of business on April 20, 2020. Shareholders who have completed e-dividend mandate forms will receive a direct credit of the dividend into their bank accounts. 3, closure of register of members. In accordance with Section 89 of Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA, please note that the register of members and transfer of books of the company will be closed from April 21 to 22, 2020, both dates inclusive, to enable the registrars of the records in preparation for the payment of dividend. 4, e-dividend mandate. Shareholders are kindly requested to update their records and advise First Registrars and Investor Services Limited of their updated records and relevant bank accounts for payment of their dividends. Detachable forms in respect of mandate for e-dividend payment and shareholder data update are attached to the annual report for convenience. The forms can also be downloaded from the company's website at www.fbnholdings.com or from First Registrars and Investor Services Limited's website at www.firstregistrarsnigeria.com. The duly completed form should be delivered to First Registrars and Investor Services Limited, number 2, Abebe Village Road, Igomu, Lagos. 5, unclaimed dividend warrants. Shareholders are hereby informed that some dividend warrants have been returned to the registrars as unclaimed, while some have neither been presented for payment and to the registrars for revalidation. Affected members are by this notice advised to contact the registrars, Post Registrars and Investor Service Limited, Plot 2, Abebe Village Road, Lagos, for resolution. 6. Statutory Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 359, Section 5 of CAMA, a shareholder may nominate another shareholder for appointment to the Audit Committee. Such nomination should be in writing and must reach the company secretary not less than 21 days before the AGM. The Code of Corporate Governance of the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and Central Bank of Nigeria respectively indicate that some of the members of the Audit Committee should have basic financial literacy and be knowledgeable in internal control processes. In view of the above, we therefore request that nominations be accompanied by a copy of the nominee's curriculum vitae. The curriculum vitae of eligible candidates will be posted on the company's website before the date of the meeting. 7. Retirement and re-election of directors. Mr. Omar Shenyayida, Mrs. Oluwande Moyo, and Mrs. Cecilia Akintomi, the OON, are retiring by rotation at this meeting in line with Section 259 of CAMA. The retiring directors, being eligible, are offering themselves for re-election as directors at the AGM. The profiles of the directors are available in the annual report and on the company's website. 8. Right of shareholders to ask questions. Pursuant to Rule 1912, subsection C of the Nigerian Stock Exchange Rule Book 2015, please note that it is the right of every shareholder to ask questions not only at the meeting, but also in writing prior to the meeting. We urge that such questions be submitted to the Company Secretariat not later than 2 weeks before the date of the meeting. By order of the board, Shaye Kosoko, Company Secretary, FRC number, FRC/2013/MBA 0000002006, 35 Marina, Lagos, dated 11 March 2020. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Company Secretary. It is important to draw the attention of shareholders to the COVID-19 pandemic, which has caused a health hazard globally and necessitated the adoption of physical distancing measures to control its spread. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused the federal government and state governments to order a lockdown, thereby placing a restriction on movements. Lagos State, the venue of our AGM, has issued a directive banning any gathering of more than 20 people. Thus, in compliance with the Lagos State directive, the number of people present at this meeting is within the limit of 20 persons. It is pertinent to state that as a responsible citizen, we have adopted all necessary precautionary measures to ensure the safety of all our stakeholders while delivering this service. As an institution, we are supporting the authorities in many ways to fight this pandemic. I wish to appeal to any member who wishes to ask a question, make comments, move or second a motion to please make use of their microphones. In view of the approval granted by the Corporate Affairs Commission for the AGM to be held by Proxy, we now invite the registrars to provide the Proxy report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hereby report that 48 hours before this AGM, as statutorily approved, we received 667 shareholders nominating the proxies that have been approved, totaling 13,258,771,510 shares, representing 37% of total shareholding. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Registrar. I now call on representative of the auditors, Messrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers, to read the auditor's report, which has been circulated to members, together with the accounts for the year ended December 31, 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good morning, members and directors. In the interest of time, Mr. Chairman, may I crave your indulgence and that of the shareholders present to read just the first and the last paragraph of the audit report. The audit report is on page 151 of the annual financial statement. Report on the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements. In our opinion, the consolidated and separate financial statements give a true and fair view of the consolidated and separate financial position of FBNHoldings Plc and its subsidiaries as at 31 December 2019, and of their consolidated and separate financial performance and their consolidated and separate cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and the requirements of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act, and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria Act. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. The Companies and Allied Matters Act and the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act require that in carrying out our audit, we consider and report to you on the following matters. We confirm that 1, we have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purposes of our audit. 2, the company has kept proper books of account so far as appears from our examination of those books, and returns adequate for our audit have been received from branches not visited by us. 3, the company's statement of financial position, income statement, and statement of comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account. 4, the information required by Central Bank of Nigeria Circular BSD/1/2004 on insider-related credits is disclosed in Note 47 to the consolidated and separate financial statements. And 5, as disclosed in Note 49 to the consolidated and separate financial statements, the group paid penalties in respect of contraventions of certain sections of the Banks and Other Financial Institutions Act and relevant circulars issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria during the year ended 31 December 2019. Signed by me, Samuel Abu, for PricewaterhouseCoopers on the 6th of April 2020. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, our auditors. I also call on the chairman of the Audit Committee, Mr. Kolawole Durojaye, FCA, to read the committee's report already circulated. It is on page 150 of the annual report and accounts, which has been circulated to members.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished fellow shareholders, let me stand on the existing protocol. Report of the Statutory Audit Committee to the members of the FBNHoldings Plc. In compliance with Section 359, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2004, we have reviewed the audit report for the year ended 31st December 2019, and hereby state as follows. 1, the scope and planning of the audit were adequate in our opinion. 2, the accounting and reporting policies of the company conform to statutory requirements and agreed ethical practices. 3, the internal control was being constantly and effectively monitored. 4, the external auditor's management report received satisfactory response from management. And 5, the committee reviewed the audit report on insider-related party transactions and is satisfied with their status as required by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, dated 11th March 2020, and signed by my humble self, Kolawole Drojaye, FCA. Other members of the committee are Mr. Nnamdi Okwadigo, FCA, late Abdulmumini Yola, Mr. Oye Hassan Odukale, MFR, Mr. Chidi Anya, and Ms. Cecilia Akintomide, OON. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Lastly, I call on Messrs. KPMG Professional Services to present its appraisal report on the performance of the board during the 2019 financial year. The report is on page 117 of the annual report and accounts, which has been circulated to members.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, gentlemen. I present the report of the independent consultant to the Board of Directors of FBNHoldings Plc on the appraisal for the year ended 31st December 2019. In compliance with the guidelines of the Section 2.8.3 of the Central Bank of Nigeria Revised Code of Corporate Governance for Banks in Nigeria Post-Consolidation and the Securities and Exchange Commission Code of Corporate Governance, FBNHoldings Plc engaged KPMG Advisory Services to carry out an appraisal of the Board of Directors for the year ended 31st December 2019. The CBN Code mandates an annual appraisal of the board with specific focus on the board structure and composition, responsibilities, processes and relationships, individual director competencies, and respective roles in the performance of the board. We have performed the procedures agreed with the FBN Holdings in respect of the appraisal of the board in accordance with the provisions of the CBN Code and SEC Code. These procedures, which are limited in scope but sufficient for the board's objectives in line with the codes, are different in scope from an external audit. Consequently, no opinion is expressed by us on the activities reported upon. Our approach to the appraisal of the board involved a review of the company's board papers and minutes, key corporate governance structures, policies, and practices. This included the review of the corporate governance framework and representations obtained from questionnaires, interviews with the members of the board, and senior management. On the basis of our review, the company's corporate governance practices are largely in compliance with the key provisions of the CBN Code. Specific recommendations for further improving the company's governance practices have been articulated and included in our detailed report to the board. This includes the recommendation that will further strengthen the whistleblowing process. Signed, Olumide Olayinka, Partner, KPMG Advisory Services, FLC 2013 ICANN 427. Dated 5th of March 2020.
Thank you very much. The next item to be read is the chairman's statement, which is on. Thank you very much for your kindness. Thank you very much for your further kindness. Kindly be informed that in exercise of the powers conferred on me by virtue of Section 224, Sub 1 sub A of Comma, I hereby call a poll on items 1 to 5 on the agenda. Thus, voting for these resolutions will be taken electronically. I now come to the first item on the agenda, which is to receive the audited financial statements of the company for the year ended December 31, 2019, and the reports of the directors, auditors, external consultants on the board appraisal, and audit committee thereon. The reports and accounts have been circulated to all members in compliance with statutory requirements, and I hereby propose that the reports of the directors, auditor, external consultants on the board appraisal, and audit committee, together with the audited accounts for the financial year ended December 31, 2019, now submitted to this meeting, be and are hereby received. Can someone please second the motion? Mr. Benga Idowu, please.
In view of the fact that every regulatory requirement has been met for the purpose of this meeting, I second that motion.
Thank you. I now call for comments from members. I also wish to report that we received comments and questions from Sir Sonny Nwosu ahead of the AGM, and we shall be addressing the issues raised in the course of this meeting. Please make use of the microphone when called up to speak. Mr. Akinlade, sorry.
The chairman, the acting chairman, board members present, regulatory authorities, and my colleagues, shareholders, good morning. I welcome all of us to this Proxy AGM of FBNHoldings. Looking at various indices on the financial statement, it shows that our bank has made a lot of progress in 2019, in spite of the difficulties encountered in that year. Interest income grew. We were able to grow loan to customer about 10.9%. Fees and commission too went up by 11.2%. And very important one, the e-banking. We have made a lot of progress to have grown the income from that by 41.2%. And another thing is that the impairment that has been problem for this bank over the years, we have started seeing a decline from 87.5% provided in 2018 to just 87.5 billion in 2018 to 51.1 billion in 2019, which is a drop of 41.5%. So I'm not surprised if that this has impacted positively on the results of the bank. And again, it has helped us to have better dividend this year of 38 kobo, which is a lot of improvement over the previous year. Although we are not yet where we're supposed to be as a leading bank in Nigeria. But I think we have set on the process to get there. And again, I want to praise the commitment of the directors and staff, management and staff, to the progress of the company. I look at board meetings held in 2019. 8 board meetings, the 10 directors were present in all the board meetings. It's very unique. It's very unique. And even the audit committee, the head 4 meeting, except for a deceased member, no, they were all present. So I want to congratulate the bank and pray that we continue to make progress. Few things that I will ask some questions on. One, our operating expenses increased significantly by 18%, and that has led to deterioration in income, cost-to-income ratio, which is now 73% as against the previous year of 63.4%. The other one I would like some explanation on is advert and corporate promotion expenses. It went up by 135.5%. That's a lot of increase. Then operational and other losses grew to 20.4 billion from 6.9 billion in 2018. So I'll be grateful if you can give us some insights into what has generated this. Capital adequacy ratio, CAR, is another one that gives me some concern. From 17.3% we had the previous year, it's dropped to 15.5%, which is just about the regulatory requirements of 15%. When I read the chairman's statement on page 23, he alluded to the fact that there will be more stringent regulatory requirements this year. So if you look at this, in addition with reduction in oil prices that we are all witnessing and potential devaluation of the naira, how are all this going to impact on our CAR? What is our exposure to the oil and gas industry as at today? And what are we doing? What strategy are we putting in place to ensure that all this didn't impact adversely on the future results of the bank? Another point I want to raise is on the regulatory costs on page 266 of the annual report. Regulatory costs appear to be on the upward trend. What are we doing? This year is 38.53 billion. Dividend to investors is 13.64 billion, which means what we are giving to the regulators is about 3 times of what the investors are receiving in terms of dividends. So we need to look at what is it? Is it penalty for infringement or whatever? So we need to understand it. I want to say thank you so much, and I wish our bank and the group a successful future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kinlade. Okay, Mr. Adeleke.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, regulatory people present, as well as colleague shareholders. I want to congratulate our bank, as well as the group, for an outstanding performance for the year 2019. And in addition to what Mr. Matthew Akinlade just said, I want to specifically refer to pages 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 that shows a gallery of awards which our company was able to garner within the year 2019 alone. That shows that we are doing something right and it's being acknowledged from all the corners of this country. On page 41, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask a question. What's wrong with our merchant banking business? And I'm saying that against the background of the fact that it contributed 5.7% to the group gross earnings against 7.7% of 2018 financial year. So why is the contribution of this business going downward? On pages 211 and 213, where you have concentration of risk of financial assets, oil and gas accounted for 34.7%. That's slightly lower than 38.3% of the previous year. But I've said this in previous AGM on this platform, that there is a need for us to continue to see how we can reduce the level of concentration in oil and gas. And this is becoming more prominent in view of global oil crisis and local deregulation policy. I will observe that the general commerce grew appreciably from 4.3% to 9.36%. But I still have a concern in terms of our sectoral allocation to agric, because whether we like it or not, we will fall back on this sector in the long run. For agric, we still do 3.2%. I think we need to improve on this. Generally, the performance highlights that have been mentioned, I would not like to repeat them. They are stated on pages 10 and 11. But my general impression of this account is that the impairment charges declined by 41.5% year on year to that 51.1 billion as against the previous figure of 87.5. Now, this has resulted in cost of risk reduction to 2.6% as against the previous year, which was 4.3%. The non-performing loan ratio is also down to 9.9 against 24.7% of the previous year. These are very positive indicators, and this begins to show us that the bank is emerging stronger and better positioned to confront the challenges of the future. Now, I got some questions that are not directly related to the account. Number one, can you confirm that our insurance business is for sale? And if that is true, that will follow the fact that we have exited the registrar business, we have exited the mortgage business, we have exited the microfinance business. What is beginning to happen to the holding structure of the business? I would like to know, and I'm sure shareholders would like to know. May I just say that we need to tread cautiously with the rumored business combination. But you may also want to throw some light on this aspect of our business. Now, COVID-19 is why we are holding this AGM in this manner and in this format. I want to find out what management is putting in place to mitigate against the impact of COVID-19 for the current financial year 2020. And as a byline, let me add that I want to implore this bank, as well as the holding company, to please ensure that we shut down all our branches in Kano State for now. I'm making a very, very passionate appeal. If we have a very deep understanding, and we have been following the events in Kano State, where over 120 people officially are declared dead on a daily basis, we don't need to expose our human capital to this kind of problem. So for now, for safety reasons, for precautionary reasons, let the bank do something. It's not just generally about COVID, which is all over the state. Something terrible is taking place in Kano as a state. On pages 159, 160, where you have the statement of financial position, I want to speak generally to the fact that we have value in our hands as far as FBN Holding is concerned. Our selling price as of Friday was 4 naira 35 kobo, and with a PE ratio of 2.25 and a price to book ratio of 0.23. It shows that FBNH is grossly undervalued and is selling at a great discount. That is 23% of its net asset value. I want to believe that this is a very good stock, very promising, and discerning investors should take the opportunity of the fact that the bank is emerging to position and make better returns on their investments in the next couple of years to come. Having said that much, I want to once again congratulate you and ask that you extend our sincere congratulations to the other members of the board, the management, and the entire staff of FBN Holding. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adele.
I will try very much not to repeat what my colleagues have said, but I share their sentiments, especially on the insurance company. If you go to page 290 from page 114 and 289, you understand the feelings of the shareholders about selling off 65% to those who already had 35% of the equity. And it requires a very strong explanation for us to take back to the shareholders. Mr. Chairman, we have a restricted cash on page 269 of 843 billion naira. We're in a very difficult situation. We do not know what is going to happen tomorrow within the banking industry. I want to use this occasion to appeal to Central Bank that there should be some sort of flexibility on this reserve, which is with Central Bank, so that with the situation at hand, we will have more cash to conduct our businesses. Our businesses fully based on cash. 843 billion naira is no joke, Mr. Chairman. I also want to find out from the bank, the central bank palliative, how it's actually going to affect us. Considering the fact that there is a moratorium on some of the loans, and today we are talking about our MPL, which is 9.9%, with the situation we are going into, how are we sure that the situation at hand will not even increase that? Because there is definitely going to be a default in some of the financial transactions in this country. How do we manage that? Is Central Bank ready to guarantee such things and back it up with cash for us. Because even as we are today, the first quarter is showing about 28 billion naira or thereabout. What's going to happen to the second quarter, which is principally within the pandemic issue? How are we going to navigate that and maintain profits that we are looking forward to? Mr. Chairman, I looked at pages 115, item 3 there, which is talking about the strategic plans for 2020 to 2022. And I really get worried. All over the world now, they are reviewing their budget. They are reviewing so many things. And I think we need to quickly also review that to see the reality on ground, how we can manage the situation to achieve a good result. Yes, my son and my friend, Bayo, talked about Kano. In closing Kano, there is need for us to make sure that the electronic transaction there is working perfectly. Because we cannot close Kano and lock out people of accessing cash to do whatever they want to do. It then means that electronic transaction must be okay, ATMs must be loaded with people that will be well protected, so that anybody that goes there, even if you are not going to the banking hall, you'll be able to access ATM and get some money to use. Mr. Chairman, a question has been asked. What do we do to keep the business going? It's a very important and strategic question that we have to take away. I actually want to restrict myself because already you have our position on about 4 pages to you. And I don't want to repeat those things on the pages. I want to place on record our appreciation for the dividend being proposed. And having tasted such 38 kobo, the reason why we're advising on the way out, we know that the directors would have sat down and looked at it, is that we will not want to have a reduced dividend. They say, the Japanese say, good product, what is it? Good thinking, good product. We believe the board will have a good thinking and will produce a good product for us. Please extend our appreciation to the group chairman, who is not here. Tell him we missed him, even though the Yorubas will say, it's, UK may not understand that, but it's saying here that the elder people will use style and sense to escape from a roaring cow. So we are into a third world war, which does not require ballistic, and therefore we need our elders because of their wisdom. Please tell him we appreciate him, we love all the directors, and with the younger ones, we continue to protect them by being at this kind of occasion to make sure that our bank achieve regulatory requirements. God bless all of us. God bless the shareholders who are not here. And God bless FBN Holding. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. God bless.
Thank you very much, Sir Sonimosu. I want to make an appeal to shareholders. You recall at the commencement of this AGM, we did say that we made a commitment to the governor of Lagos State that we would not stay longer than necessary. It was a special dispensation that he granted us to hold this AGM today. So I plead with distinguished shareholders, if you would allow, let's respond to these questions you have raised, and then if there are other comments, we can continue to discuss. It is your company, and we'll continue to work with you. I will take some of the questions, and then invite the CEO of the commercial bank to address the commercial bank specific questions. First, will be to appreciate the commendation which all the shareholders that have spoken raised. It goes back to the strong oversight by the board of directors, dedicated and loyal staff that we have, and of course, our extremely supportive and loyal customers. We will continue to improve as the years come by. The point around impairment charge and reduction in the NPL ratio, that was a promise we made, and through improvement in our processes, deployment of technology, and training our people, ensuring that we selected customers and obligors that will pay back. Those are the things that led to the reduction, and we will continue to improve on this ratio. I can confirm to you that the loans given out in the last 3 years, the NPL ratio, they've remained less than 1%. There was a question around the merchant bank by Mr. Adeleke. I want to speak to that. I think it's what accountants call scale effect. When you have the commercial bank that is on a resurgence, that has been cleaned up and repositioned and transformed, and therefore the earnings accruing from the commercial bank have been growing exponentially, the relative contribution of the other smaller, in quotes, companies will keep going down. That's just what it is. They're doing very well if you look at the profits year on year, but the commercial bank has been fully repositioned, and that is also why the commercial bank paid dividend for the first time to the holding company in 5 years. It tells you that the commercial bank has been repositioned. I think the third issue I would like to address is insurance. Very great points you have raised, but let me confirm first that we have not sold the insurance business. That is first. The second point to make is that as a financial holding company, our primary business is to invest or divest from assets or businesses, just based on opportunities that exist in the market. And so we entered the insurance business 8 years ago. We didn't have it then. We saw an opportunity, we entered the business, and it has been profitable. We have a 35% partner, and from the time they invested, they have always wanted to increase their holding. Now, what is important for us is enhancement of shareholder value. That's what is important. And so every year we look at opportunities in the marketplace, the businesses we are in, look at strategic fit, whether those businesses we are in will enhance shareholder value. If the answer is yes, what is the relative positioning of our specific company? For instance, the commercial bank is in a stronger position now. And so if they need to be fortified, we will fortify them. And where we believe that there are issues around capital, we inject capital. With respect to the insurance business, what we know is that the regulators have called for fresh or new capital rules, just as the central bank has called for new capital rules for the commercial bank and the merchant bank. And therefore, it's important for us to strengthen the core of our businesses. And so when we look at the portfolio and we identify value, if we exit, then we would make that decision. What we did was to notify the market because directors had become aware of a material price, market price sensitive information. And once that happens, you are under obligation to report, since we were approached by our partners. If we did not disclose, it would have been an infringement on the rules. As we engage the market and the regulators, and as we make decisions concerning the insurance business, we will make the full disclosure. You can be sure of one thing. It will be at great value to the shareholders. whatever decision that is made, it will be in the value, in the interest of shareholders. That's the commitment we have made. And by the way, just as we entered the insurance business 8 years ago, there are opportunities in fintech, in switching, that we can also evaluate and now make investments. So it is not like you are dismantling the holding company structure. And then whatever value is extracted can go to strengthen our existing businesses. I think I would have to invite the CEO of the commercial bank to address some of the points or questions that have been raised. Shola.
Good morning, shareholders. My pleasure to be here today to answer questions on our stewardship to the owners of our business. Let me start by acknowledging what was said about our e-business. We've deliberately invested over the last 4 years. We read the market. We realized that this is the direction in which the market will go, and we made all those investments. And I'm happy to inform you here today that your bank, First Bank, we are the clear leader when it comes to e-business in Nigeria. Indeed, during this COVID pandemic lockdown, I've actually made a couple of releases into the market where I've released the statistics of the volume of business that your bank is processing during the course of this pandemic. Even though we're on lockdown, the volume that we have been processing on our ATM, mobile banking, USSD platform, and the newest of our platform, which is the agency banking, the volume have been among us. Indeed, today, your bank is responsible for about 23% of the traffic on the e-channels in this country, and it's something we should all be very proud of. And that takes me quickly to the comment around Kano. We are monitoring the situation in Kano very closely, and like Sir Sonin Wosu said, be rest assured that our entire gamut of e-business, they've been deployed to ensure that we continue to serve all our TIMI customers, and that we also serve them in a very safe environment that doesn't impede on anybody's health. So it takes me to the question on COVID-19. What are we doing? We are operating skeletal services in all our branches in line with the regulation of the central bank, but we've also applied all the NCDC rules that ensures that our staff, our colleagues that are serving, that are providing those services, are doing that in a safe manner. All our ATM galleries get disinfected very regularly. The same thing with the cash that we process, we disinfect them regularly. But more importantly, we've also been aggressive in advising our customers to move to digital channels. The direction the whole world over is on contactless transactions. And be rest assured, we've made that investment. We are reaping the benefit of that investment as read out in the annual report, and it's serving your bank very well at this particular point in time. And that takes me to the question on OPEX. Two things that I would just like to comment. One, you will recall that in the course of 2019, we celebrated the 125th anniversary of your great institution, our great institution. And we did a lot of brand building around that to ensure that you don't celebrate 125th anniversary twice. So we seized upon that to do a lot of rebranding, to push the brand. We've also spent a lot of money to get to where we are today on our e-business channels. The last thing that contributed to that increase that you are seeing, there was a legacy asset that we needed to buy back from AMCON, and we needed to clean it up because really the chances of recovery is very long. So these are unavoidable expenditure, but be rest assured that especially the investment we've made on e-business, they are strategic in nature and they basically strengthen the franchise. So that basically addresses that. So as a new so I'm happy that Central Bank is here and they've heard your comment on restricted cash or CRR, and I'm sure that will be taken back. The last question I would like to address is on the exposure to the oil and gas sector. Again, our portfolio mirrors the type and the structure of the opportunity in the market. Be rest assured that we have been very proactive within the ambit of what the central bank allows and what is allowed under the accounting rules to proactively manage our exposure to ensure that the downside impact on our business is minimized as much as possible. I also want to comment quickly on the comment by Mr. Adeleke on the exposure to agri sector. We are the biggest lender to agri today. So I hear you. It's an area that is of priority to us as a bank. It's also an area that is of priority even to the central bank, and we continue to partner with them. But the primary responsibility of management and the board is to preserve shareholders' wealth and depositors' money. So we will not do that at the detriment of depositors' money and the shareholder money. So we will do it in a way that is value accretive to your business. And I think that basically is it. We will continue to be available to answer any question on your enterprise. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, the CEO of the Commercial Bank. The other questions or comments, we take them as advisory, and we thank you for your generous advice. As there are no further questions or comments, I will now put the resolution to the meeting. Each shareholder and proxy was given an electronic pad with which to vote on the resolutions by poll. The results will be projected on the screen for shareholders and those viewing online to see. I would like to invite the registrars to explain the e-voting pad and how it works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to confirm that first, all the proxies have voted because they sent in their votes in advance. But for the shareholders who are present who didn't send any proxy, when any resolution is put forward and you have to vote, you press 1 on the pad given to you for yes, or for yes for yes, and 2 for against. 1 for yes, 2 for against. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It is time to vote for the resolution. As the resolution being proposed is an ordinary resolution, a majority representing 50.1% of the total votes cast by the shareholders and proxies here present is required for the resolution to be approved. Are we ready, Registrar? Now, you have 30 seconds to vote. Please vote now.
You didn't mention the resolution, sir.
Sorry?
The resolution, okay, 1.
That resolution 1, that's what we debated, which was that the report and the accounts, the reports of the directors, auditor, external consultants on the board appraisal and the audit committee together with the audited accounts for the financial year ended December 31, 2019, now submitted to this meeting be and are hereby received. So we are voting on that resolution number 1 now.
Open.
30 seconds to vote. Okay. A poll was called on the first 5 resolutions, so let's just proceed, please. Voting is over.
How many seconds? Yes. 8 seconds more. 6 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We need like 10 seconds to bring out the result. Mr. Chairman, the result is displayed.
Please announce the voting results.
For 652 votes for, 0 against, 100%. And in terms of number of shareholding, 12,617,115,595 voted for, 100% of votes counted. Thank you.
Thank you. Following the results of the voting as announced by the registrar, I hereby declare that the resolution to receive the reports of the directors, auditor, external consultants on the board appraisal, and audit committee, together with the audited accounts for the financial year ended December 31, 2019, now submitted to this meeting, has been carried. We shall now go to the second item on the agenda, which is the declaration of a dividend. And I hereby propose thank you. I hereby propose that a dividend payment in the sum of 13,640,211 naira only, which translates to 38 kobo per 50 kobo ordinary share of the company, subject to withholding tax, with the dividend payable on Tuesday, April 28, 2020, to members whose names appear in the register of members at the close of business on April 20, 2020, be and is hereby approved. Will someone please second the motion? Mr. Boniface Okezie.
I, Boniface Okezie, I rise to second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Okezie. I will now put the resolution to the meeting. Again, we have 30 seconds to vote on this second resolution. Please vote now.
Seconds, 6 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Registrars, please announce the results of the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To declare dividend, 664 voted for, 4 against. Votes count, 99.4% voted for, 0.6% voted against. Number of shares, 12,017,156,595 votes. representing 90.05% of votes in terms of holding, were for, and 9.95 were against. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, registrars. Following the announcement on result of voting by the registrars, I hereby declare that the resolution to declare a dividend in the total sum of 13,640,211 naira only, which translates to 38 kobo per 50 kobo ordinary share of the company, subject to withholding tax, with the dividend payable on Tuesday, April 28, 2020, to members whose names appear in the register of members at the close of business on April 20, 2020, is hereby carried.
I second that motion. Thank you.
Now, you have 30 seconds to vote.
Eight seconds left. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Registrars, can we have the result of the voting, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To re-elect Oluwande Moyo as director, number of votes 666 voted for, 2 against, 99.7% voted for. In terms of shareholding, 13,333,442,463, representing 99.92% voted for, while only 0.08% voted against. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Following the result of the voting as announced by the registrars, I hereby declare the resolution to re-elect Mrs. Oluwande Moyo as a director carried. The next resolution is for the re-election of Ms. Cecilia Kintomide, OON. I want to call on a shareholder to propose the re-election of Ms. Cecilia Kintomide, OON, as a director of FBNHoldings Plc as follows. That Ms. Cecilia Kintomide, OON, who, having retired by rotation, being eligible, and having offered herself for re-election, is duly re-elected. Yes, please.
I rise to move that resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Will another shareholder please second the motion?
I, Benga Idowu, rise to second that motion.
Thank you. You have 30 seconds to vote. Please vote now.
Eight seconds left. 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Result, please.
Please announce the result of the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To re-elect Cecilia Akintomide as director, 666 people voted, 99.7%, while 2 voted against, 0.30%. In terms of shareholding, 13,333,442,463, representing 99.92% voted for, while 10,892,501, representing 0.08% voted against. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Following the result of voting as announced by registrars, I hereby declare the resolution to re-elect Ms. Cecilia Akintomide, OON, as a director carried. We shall now proceed to the next item on the agenda, which is to appoint external auditors. Section 5.2.12 of the Central Bank of Nigeria's Code of Corporate Governance, which provides that the tenure of auditors in any given bank shall be for a maximum period of 10 cumulative years, after which the audit firm shall not be reappointed in the bank until after a period of another 10 consecutive years. Rule 33.1 of the Securities and Exchange Commission Code of Corporate Governance provides that in order to safeguard the integrity of the external audit process and guarantee the independence of external auditors, companies should rotate both the audit firms and audit partners. And Section 357, Sub 1 of CAMA, which states that every company shall at each annual general meeting appoint an auditor or auditors to audit the financial statements of the company and to hold office from the completion of that until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. At this annual general meeting, the current auditors, Messrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers, will have completed 10 years of auditing First Bank of Nigeria Limited, the precursor of FBNHoldings Plc. Hence, a new auditor will have to be appointed. Whereas FBNHoldings Plc is the parent company that consolidates the results of all subsidiaries, First Bank is the largest subsidiary, representing about 95% of the group's total assets. Based on this, it is imperative that the auditors of First Bank issuing audit opinion on 95% of the group should be the group's auditor for ease of reporting and consolidation. I call on a member to propose as follows: that Messrs. KPMG Professional Services be appointed as the company's auditor to replace the retiring auditor, Messrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers. Please. Thank you. Will another shareholder please second the motion?
I, Okezia Boniface, I write to second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Okeze. You have 30 seconds to vote. Please vote now.
Eight seconds left. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please announce the results of the voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 668 shareholders and proxies voted for and 0 against. That's 100%. In terms of shareholding, 13,344,334,964, 100% voted for. Thank you.
Thank you. Following the result of the voting announcement by registrars, I hereby declare the resolution to appoint Messrs. KPMG Professional Services as the company's auditor carried. The next item on the agenda is the resolution to authorize directors to determine the remuneration of the auditor. By sections 357 and 361 sub 1 of CAMA, the remuneration of Messrs. KPMG Professional Services as auditor should be fixed by the company at a general meeting. For this resolution, I shall ask a shareholder to formally propose as follows: that the remuneration and expenses of the company's auditor, Messrs. KPMG Professional Services, be fixed by directors in respect of the period ending at the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. Will a shareholder please propose the motion? Boniface, please.
I hereby arise to propose the motion that the auditor's remuneration be fixed by the directors in the next meeting.
Thank you. Will a member please second the motion? Mr. Adeleke.
I so do, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. You have 30 seconds to vote. Please vote now.
Seven seconds left. 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you.
The result, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 668 people voted for, 100%, no against. 13,344,334,964 voted for in terms of shareholding, 100%, 0% against. Thank you.
Thank you. Following the announcement of the result of voting by registrars, I hereby declare that the resolution authorizing directors to fix the remuneration of the auditor is hereby carried. The next item on the agenda is the election of members of the Audit Committee. In compliance with Section 359 sub 4 and sub 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2004, the Board of Directors of the company has nominated the following directors as members of the Audit Committee for the period ending at the end of the next annual general meeting. 1, Mr. Oye Hassan Odukale, MFR. 2, Mr. Chidi Anya. 3, Ms. Cecilia Akintomide, OON. We received 14 valid nominations from the shareholders, following which 11 have withdrawn, leaving 3 valid nominations. The 3 nominees are: 1, Mr. Kolawole Durojaye, FCA. 2, Mr. Nnamdi Okwadibo, FCA. 3, Mr. Fuad Farouk Umar. For the sake of clarity and for the avoidance of doubt, please note the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act on the right to demand a poll on the election of Audit Committee members. Section 225 sub 3 of CAMA provides as follows: notwithstanding Section 224 of this Act and subsections 1 and 2 of this section, there shall be no right to demand a poll on the election of members of the Audit Committee under Section 359 of this Act. In view of the fact that there are 3 valid nominations to fill the vacancies of the position of shareholders on the Statutory Audit Committee, there shall be no need for an election. I will now call on a member to propose the following resolution: that pursuant to Section 359, sub 4 and sub 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2004, an audit committee of the company be and is hereby appointed with effect from today, April 27, 2020, to the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. The following are to constitute the membership of the committee: Directors, 1, Mr. Oye Hassan Odukale, MFR. 2, Mr. Chidi Anya. 3, Ms. Cecilia Akintomide, OON. B, shareholders, Mr. Kolawole Durojaye, FCA. 2, Mr. Nnamdi Okwadibo, FCA. And 3, Mr. Fuad Farouk Umar. Will a member please propose the resolution? Yes, sir.
I do propose that resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Will a member please second the resolution?
I, Boniface Okezie, do rise to second the motion for the election of members of the committee.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as there is no other business for which due statutory notice was given, I thank you all for attending and taking part in the affairs of our company. I hereby declare the 8th Annual General Meeting of the company closed. I now call on Dr. Adeshola Adedutan to please lead us in a closing prayer.
Please, let us rise. I seek refuge in Allah from the evil deeds of Shaitan. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Master of the day of judgment, you alone we worship, and to you alone we seek for help. We thank you for giving us the grace to preside over the annual general meeting of our great institution. We commit the leadership of our institution and our shareholders and our staff into your hand. Give us the grace to be here next year to allow us to witness many, many, many more annual general meetings of FBN Holdings. We also commit our country, Nigeria, and our leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, and all the state governors into your hand as we battle this COVID-19 crisis, and the attendant economic crisis enabled by the fall in the price of crude oil. We beseech you to grant them uncommon grace, knowledge, wisdom to shepherd the affairs of this country, that at the end of the day we have cause to glorify your name. In Allah's name, I pray. Surah Al-Fatiha, for those people that knows it. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Mahaliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Hidina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Amen. Thank you.
National anthem, please.
No need to start for life. It is safe and secure for me and for you. There's a number that could change your whole world.
Dial star 894 hash to get started. Powered by First Bank.
Brother Jumble, why you dey fumble? This is Kakaro, she don't change her bottle. You no need to dey suffer to send money, oh. Careful, make you dial the number 894. Make you know they wait. 894. No need to dey stand for line. 894. It is safe and secure. 894. For me. 894. For you. 894. There's a number that could change your whole world. 894. It no matter if you don't get data. 894. Just pick your phone and dial the number 894 for me. 894 for you. 894 for Niger.
Dial star 894 hash to get started. Powered by First Bank.
Brother Jumble, why you dey fumble? This is Kakaro, she don't change her bottle. You no need to dey suffer to send money, oh. Careful, make you dial the number 894. Make you know they wait. 894. No need to dey stand for line. 894. It is safe and secure. 894. For me. 894. For you. 894. There's a number that could change your whole world. 894. It no matter if you don't get data. 894. Just pick your phone and dial the number 894 for me. 894 for you. 894 for Niger.
Dial star 894 hash to get started. Powered by First Bank.
Brother Jumble, why you dey fumble? This is Kakaro, she don't change her bottle.